Cabarrus Productions was responsible for a 4X strategy game called Sword of the Stars. Their sequel, Sword of the Stars 2, had a very rough launch. I'm not going to get into it. Anyway, they launched an Indiegogo project to support their next game, Sword of the Stars: The Pit. The story is simple. A planet called Arbuda 4 is a retirement planet for armed forces members, but a mysterious plague breaks out, turning most inhabitants into ghouls. Their only hope is a rumor that a Sulka facility exists in the mountains, so they send you in to find a source and a cure for the plague. For better or for worse, this is a roguelike, so get used to dying. A lot. After the start screen, you can select various options. The sauce deck is the game's notebook, and it's divided into categories. Messages will display any partial and complete data files you've unlocked, and while there is a limit to storing messages, about 100, you can delete any you don't wish to keep. Also, the messages do include recipes, which, if fully decrypted, will stay with your sauce decks even if you delete their data file. Gameplay is merely the key bindings, which you can change under Options in the main menu. Weapons, items, and monsters simply lists all you've encountered, and Awards displays your current unlocked achievements. As before, I recommend playing the tutorial. It explains the heads-up display and gives you one free recipe, so there's no reason not to. Now let's play. We can win this. When starting out, you're given the option to select one of 3 characters. The Marine starts with 70 might, 45 finesse, and 40 brains. He gets only 4 skill points per level, but 3 attribute points. The Engineer starts with 35 might, 55 finesse, and 75 brains, getting 6 skill points, but only 2 attribute points per level. And finally, the Scout begins with 40 might, 70 finesse, and 55 brains. Her level ups consist of 8 skill points, but only 1 attribute point. If you want my advice for each character, when using the Marine, improve Finesse up to 60, then either Might to 100, or Brains up to 50 or 60, and then work on Strength. For the Engineer, get his Finesse up to 60, then improve nothing but Might. And for the Scout, 100% Might. Might affects, most importantly, your inventory size. With low Might, your carrying capacity sucks. As you'd expect, we're playing on the hardest difficulty, Insane. I can't stress enough not to play on this difficulty until you've unlocked a good portion of recipes for your sauce decks. This means either using the wiki, or if you're hardcore, play on easy with the Engineer first. He has the highest chance of repairing damaged consoles and retrieving data files. At this task, the Scout is mediocre and the Marine sucks. While on this difficulty, you'll notice the EXP received for slain enemies is under half of that of easy, and while enemies are more numerous and more dangerous, it doesn't quite compensate. Long story short, you'll be under level compared to lower difficulties. Also, your starting gear doesn't change regardless of difficulty setting, and in this, the game is brutally unfair. Most characters, save the Marine, are ill-equipped to initially fight off stronger enemies. Even on floor 1, a menacing enemy can spawn that can one-shot you. You'll probably be restarting often until you get a leg up. This is a recurring theme, so get used to it. You'll always be encountering enemies that for the floor you're on are far too powerful. The first few floors are littered with enemies that can one-shot you. If you don't find better gear, or at least the ingredients for them, you'll be screwed quickly. Your main goal was to try and obtain better armor and a few better weapons, especially a better melee weapon. With the spike in monster difficulty, you'll need to conserve every bullet you can. The Pit feels kind of like a survival horror game on this difficulty. This makes it all the sweeter when you finally obtain that one ingredient you've been pining over to craft that one item you've been dying for, or when the RNG decides to be exceedingly generous. Even with recipes at your disposal and a stockpile of bullets, you can't be careless. You're gonna rest. A lot. Oh, you think I'm joking? Oh no. Time and again you'll be down to dangerous levels of health and the enemies just don't stop coming. You'll find yourself needing to recover a lot of health, and on this difficulty you just don't seem to find enough med lab stations and curative items. This means resting, and resting, and resting. This is only a fraction. I had to rest 13 times on 2 floors alone, and it only gets worse from here. Oh, and this means hunger. A lot of hunger. As you keep resting, you'll notice your satiation bar dropping steadily. If you can't find enough food, you're as good as dead. So how do we find enough food and other goods? Well, I'm not going to tell you every drop every monster has, but I'll point out a few. Apart from the usual places to find armor, ammo, and goodies, there are some monsters you can hope for. Moon bears, diseased bears, and stone moles often drop meat or bacon. Security robots are a good source of ammo, electronics, and cybernetic brains, and Morgite drones oftentimes drop energy packs. Learning the drops of various enemies will help you gauge which are important. So what can we craft with all the ingredients we find? One solid recommendation I have is to make the adamantium claws. Yeah, Wolverine reference. But 3 of the 4 ingredients you need to craft them are rare drops. If you can get this weapon, it'll last you for the full game as long as you can find repair stations to maintain it. Sharpening kits won't work on these gloves. Oh, and one final advice, save your bindings. I shit you not, bindings are the single most useful item in the game. To put it in perspective, the X-Rifle, Targeting Helmet, Sniper Rifle, Sharpening Kit, Razor Fist, Rage Beam, Pulse Rifle, Laser Rifle, Improvised Medkit, Improvised Lockpicks, Gravity Boots, Energy Backpack, Titan Plate Armor, AK Rifle, Adamantium Sword, and even the Roast fucking Beast all require them. They're usually worth duplicating in a 4D printer if you get lucky enough to find one. If you get some luck on your side, play it cautiously, and your food holds out, you can get to the bottom. Now, I'm not going to spoil it here what's in store for you, but it's a heavy gauntlet. If you find any keycards along the way, or an image inducer, and make yourself some pheromone grenades or cyber scramblers, the stage will be far easier. But I promise you, you can win on Insane.
Wake up, Tammy! Time to go!
I was having the worst dream.
Give me some sugar, baby.
Travis, you're bleeding.